Man, let's bring in our first guest today, man. We have got Chicago's own former NFL guard turned entrepreneur, Jeff Allen, man. He played college ball at the University of Illinois, played 9 years in the NFL with the Kansas City Chiefs, Houston Texans, Super Bowl 54 champion. He started the Cookie Society in 2018 with his wife, Marissa Allen. And Cookie Shop, for those of you who don't know, is a gourmet cookie shop based in Frisco, Texas. And of course, he is also from the crib, from Chicago. Jeff, how you
Yes,
doing,
sir.
my guy?
I'm good, man. I want to start off, man. Y'all got the coldest intro in the podcast game, bro. Shout out to the
I appreciate that.
hey, shout out to the boy Illinois, man. That was dope. I appreciate y'all having me, though, man.
Shout out my boy Illy, man. Illy, one of my longtime friends, man. He definitely knocked that out the park for us, man. But definitely glad to have you here, man. Definitely glad to get everything you've got going on, man. Super Bowl week here, everything's been going on. So let's just get right into it, man. Let's tell everybody about what your journey has been. You know, one thing I like, you know, as an entrepreneur myself, and you know, seeing how people, you know, come from one spot and going to another. You know, we all went to Chicago public schools. I went to Curie, High School, class 2007. You went to King. So tell me just how your grind was from graduating from King to, you know, going to the U of I and then basically getting to the NFL.
And it was a perfect transition, man. From King, man, I always been an entrepreneur. First off, I was that guy that was selling candy in between periods. You know, during the school, you know, I was skipping classes, selling candy in the hallway. That was what I was doing. But the football grind was something that I saw early on. You know, probably about 6th, 7th grade. My uncle played at the University of Miami. You know, came back home, was coaching at King, but he always instilled that drive in me and gave me that vision. You know, what it would be like to be a Division I football player. So that was always my dream to do that and then become an NFL player. I got to King, man, out of shape. Couldn't lift nothing, wasn't running very fast. But thankfully, you know, they poured into me. It takes a lot of people. It takes a village. I had some strong mentors. I had a lot of great coaches, Lonnie Williams and my uncle Sean Williams, host of guys, man. And then, you know, my peers, all my teammates, my best friend, Miles Schroeder, he ended up being one of the top recruits in the country. You know, I wasn't very sought after. I didn't even have any stars. I wasn't ranked heading into my senior year, but because of him getting all the attention, there were scouts coming to see him. You know, I got some of the leftovers. They're like, okay, he's good, but you know, who's this kid? Who's this kid? He's got some athleticism, he has some ability, but he needs to work on a few things. And the guy that recruited me at the University of Illinois, Reggie Mitchell, he's the running backs coach. He told me, like, hey, we might be willing to give you a scholarship, but we got to see something from you at our one-day camp. So I went up there. I didn't have any scholarships from any schools, let alone a Division I school. Went up to the camp. They tried to kill me. They getting everything out of me. I'm going drill after drill, period after period. All eyes on me, one-on-one. They trying to see if I had what it took. And after that camp, I ended up getting a scholarship. You know, they took a chance on me. I got a scholarship, enrolled in the University of Illinois early. I graduated high school mid-year, went down in the spring, and I needed it, man, because when I got down there, I had to acclimate. Like I said, I wasn't in the greatest shape, and partly my fault, honestly, because when I graduated in December. I got done with school, and then I stopped doing everything. Man. I said, fuck it, I'm not going to do shit. They're going to give me a shit.
He said, I'm just going to chill.
I'm sitting at home. I'm playing video games. I'm eating chips, eating candy. And I get down to the University of Illinois in January, and it was like they took the training wheels off. It was nonstop, full speed, and I couldn't make it through a workout. So everybody looking at me crazy. They're like, man, we wasted, scholarship on this kid. What are you doing? And I can remember all I kept saying was wait until we put the pads on. So we get into spring ball, finally put the pads on, and I put my knee braces on the wrong way because I never wore them before. So I go out there the first day. I'm struggling, man. I'm getting my ass whooped. And the offensive line coach pulled me into the office. He's like, look, man, like I'm part of the main reason why you're here. He's like, I stood on this table for you. I saw something in you that day in camp. He was like, don't let us down, basically. And I'm like, damn, I'm fucking up. So I really looked at myself in the mirror. I called my mom that same night. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm really built for this. Like everybody, I don't care who it is, anybody who's done anything in sports, they can all tell you the same thing. They have a crossroads like this. And I remember telling them, I don't know if I can do it. And she said, what you going to do? You going to come back here? I grew up on the east side of Chicago. So she's like, you going to come back home? And I was like, nah, man. She's like, well, I'll tell you this. It's only going to get easier from here. From that moment, I just decided to, really pour everything into the craft and do everything to be the best version of myself. And I went on into the summer camp, was on third on the depth chart, had a ton of injuries, ended up getting thrust into the starting lineup as a true freshman. And my first game, I was playing a guy named Aaron Maben. I think Aaron Maben ended up being a top 10 pick. Heading into our matchup against Penn State, he had, I don't know, he probably had he was leading the country in sacks. He had almost double-digit sacks in 3 games. And I'm watching ESPN the night before, and they're not really talking about the game. They're just talking about our matchup. They're like, he's going to kill this kid. True freshman playing in Penn State, a wideout against Aaron Maben, who's leading the country in sacks. He has no chance. And I went into the game, and I had a pretty good game. And the entire time, I just kept thinking back on those moments leading up to it. Like, I'm doing everything I need to do. I've gotten to this position, and I just got to capitalize. And from that moment, that gave me the confidence, and I started every game my entire career. I think I still have the most consecutive starts in University of Illinois history. And it was pretty cool to see all that work, pay off.
Yeah, definitely, bro. And it definitely paid off. You were drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. And one thing we wanted to ask you, Andy Reid, his legacy has definitely evolved over the last few years. What was it like playing for Andy? And at the end of the day, what do you think his legacy should be?
It was dope playing for him. Andy is one of the greatest football minds offensively that the game has ever had. And I think legacy-wise, we have to have the conversation, right? I think a lot of people give Bill Belichick that title as greatest coach of all time. But we only have one sample with him. We have him and Tom Brady and the success that they had. When I look at Andy Reid, he's had a host of quarterbacks that he's played with, and he's had great success with. He's made the playoffs damn near every year that he's been a head coach. He's done it with Donovan McNabb. He's done it with Alex Smith. He's done it with Patrick Mahomes. He's done it with, what's the guy named? Cobb. He did it with Cobb. He did it with
what was his name?
I mean, he's done it with so many quarterbacks, and now he's getting that success because he has an all-time great in Patrick Mahomes, and he's winning Super Bowls and he's winning AFC titles. I think he's arguably the greatest coach of all time, but you still got to go with Bill from the stats. But I think Andy has done it with just about all type of quarterbacks. I mean, Michael Vick even had success with him, so he's done it with a variation of quarterbacks, and that's what makes him my GOAT.
If you look at the guys you have over there in Kansas City, of course, it's the dynamic duo. You bring up Andy Reid. Andy Reid had Tom Brady. Andy Reid, this new era that he's been in, he's had Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, who is on the verge of trying to get his 3rd Super Bowl championship going on right now. From the year that you played with Pat, was there anything that you saw in him that kind of translates the way that he's been playing right now?
Oh yeah, Pat the dog, bro. Like, he really a dog. So when I left Kansas City for 2 seasons and went to Houston, and I really thought about retiring, going into my 7th year. And I got a call from Coach Reid, and he was like, "Look, man, I know you're thinking about retiring, but we need a veteran guy, in the offensive line room. What do you think?" So I thought about it, but while thinking about it, I called a few guys that were still in Kansas City that I knew, and they're like, "Look, dude, this dude Patrick is the truth. He really might be the one." And that's really what convinced me to come back. And when I got there, I kind of saw glimpses of it in training camp. But when we played Oakland, I think it was like week 3 or something like that. A safety came on a blitz and hit him late, and Pat started talking shit to him. I never heard a quarterback talk shit like that. And he was like, "Don't fucking hit me late again." Safety, they going back and forth. I won't get into the conversation. But Pat basically said, "I'm going to go over the top on your bitch ass." I was like, okay. Literally, like the next series, he threw a 70-yard bomb on Mecole Hardman over that safety. And he's like, "I told you." And I was like, yeah, he's different. He's different. He's been like that. And sometimes as an offensive lineman, you like to see that, as long as he's not talking to your guy, because you don't got to block him, bro. Chill out. But he's highly competitive. Definitely an all-time great, and you see it, man. He goes out there and he puts it out on the line. and he's winning. He's getting a lot of hate now, but that comes with winning.
It comes with winning. And before Dante gets this next question, I want to say this thing about Pat too. I'm glad you brought up the intensity he has, because I didn't know he was like that till I watched the quarterback series on Netflix, and then and it showed him like talking. I think he was talking shit to Max Crosby, and I was like, oh, okay, so he's got a little, little Jordan in him, little Kobe in him. That was kind of thing I saw right there, and he carries himself as such a nice guy. It's dope to see that part of it too, and it definitely goes with the greats.
Definitely, man. That nice guy mantra is just for the cameras, man. He's definitely got that. He's got that dog in him, and all the greats do, man.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Now, as like you said, 9 years in the league, so you're somebody who's been in that offensive line room, in those offensive meetings, actually breaking down film. How do you feel about when you get online and you see these new age all 22 guys who want to tell you, oh, well, he was open here, or this is where the play messed up, when they really haven't been in that room and know what it's like to know how the entire, offense is set up?
Yeah, I think it's kind of ruined the game, man. All these, Tuesday morning coaches, that's what I call them, or Monday morning coaches, depending on when the game is. They all see it the way they see it, but they really don't understand schematically what an offense might be doing, or defensively what someone might be doing. They don't know every single player's responsibility. They just see it and they make a decision. I mean, that's the same argument for PFF. I mean, these guys give some players terrible grades, but internally, I mean, I know there's some times PFF-wise where I'll get a horrible grade, but then you look at the grade I get from my offensive line coach, it's the total opposite. So, and vice versa, I might have a good PFF grade and I fucking sucked ass when I go into the meeting room. They're like, "No, you suck, bro." Like, you fucking suck.
But PFF said.
but coach, PFF gave me a 90, bro. I don't care what you said. But I think that all 22 stuff, it kind of, I mean, I guess you can give them an opportunity. It's more stuff that the NFL can sell to the consumer from a business standpoint. But I mean, most of the time, people don't know what they're talking about. They get on Twitter, start talking crazy to these players, and in reality, they don't know everything.
Well, here's a question I got about, like, when we talk about, I feel like just everything with, how some sports is carried by like the fans. I think now that everybody thinks that, it's so easy to do, you know what I'm saying, as far as a fan. And honestly, as a fan too, I felt the same way too until I started actually covering teams and like seeing the hard work that you guys put in. It's like, oh, okay, it's a different level. Now, of course, like the average fan isn't going to see that, but it's like, it's something with me where I'm like, okay, well, this guy does this, that, and the third. When you're actually at a practice facility, you see like the whole day thing that you guys do. And it's really like a whole little, it's more than just playing on Sundays, and the fan only sees the Sunday part. So here's the question I have for you. Like, what made you retire early and go into, full-time entrepreneurship? Did you get tired of the grind of it? Well, like, what exactly was the reason that you went to the next phase?
I think it was a combination of stuff. So coming off my stint in Houston, I dealt with a lot of concussions. So I had, in the calendar year, but it was over 2 seasons, but over the course of a full year, I had 4 concussions. So I spent a lot of time in Pittsburgh with a concussion specialist named Mickey Collins, just trying to get over that, making sure that I was going to have a productive life after football. And I wasn't sure about that, but after having those conversations, getting cleared and talking to them, they gave me the confidence. They said, "Hey, look, it's safe for you to play. So if you want to play, then I would do it. And the worst thing that you can do is regret retiring early." So I gave myself the opportunity to go back with the thought of, possibly winning a Super Bowl. And that's what really drove me to get back. But I still, man, like mentally, you always think, especially when dealing with concussions, you're going to get another one. And I felt like that was always in the back of my mind, and I wasn't playing the same. I just was more tentative. I was more careful. And football is a violent sport. If you're out there thinking about getting hurt, you probably shouldn't be out there. So ultimately, I just decided, hey, this might be it for me. I'm thinking about these concussions too much. I've dealt with it. It's time for me to get on to the next chapter, which is entrepreneurship. And I'm happy I did, because it was really perfect timing, just the way the market set itself up with cookies and everything, and me being able to do this and support my wife the way she supported me. So I'm just thankful that, I listened to, that internal voice, which was God, and made that decision.
Can you tell us like a little bit more about Cookie Society and what you guys do with that, and like how the idea for it all started, pretty much?
Yeah. So we back in 20. So me and my wife, we travel every off season, and when we travel with foodies, obviously I'm an offensive lineman. I like to eat. So when we go places, we try different things. We were in New York in 2017. This place called Levain Bakery. It's a famous bakery in New York. They have a ton of locations. They have them in Chicago now, just all over. But we stood in line for damn near an hour. And when we got to the front, it was just cookies. And I was like, damn, you made me wait for an hour just for cookies. And I was kind of pissed about it. But we got them. We went across the street to Central Park, sat down. I ate one. It really was one of the best things I've ever had dessert-wise, not just cookie. And I looked at my wife and I was just messing with her like, you can't make nothing like this for me, knowing she was going to go home and try to recreate it. So when we got back to Texas, she just started playing around the kitchen. She's a great cook. She can bake, but she never really made cookies up until that point. Like, so she was really trying to figure out how to make a Levain cookie, couldn't figure it out. And she's like, you know what, I'm going to make my cookie. So she started researching. She came up with the recipe that we sell today. I tasted it. I was like, this is crazy. Started giving them to teammates. Anybody we can give cookies to, they all said the same thing, the best cookie we ever had. One of my teammates one Christmas asked to buy them. And that's when the idea came about, like maybe we should think about turning it into a business. 2018, we started to do farmers markets, pop-ups, sell them online. And we just kept getting the same feedback. These are amazing, best cookie ever had. 2020, we opened our first brick and mortar here in Dallas and Frisco, Texas. And we're up to 3 stores now. And it's been amazing to see the growth. And we ship nationwide too.
Ship nationwide. Before I know Dante, I know you got. We're gonna get into Super Bowl in just a minute, but this is real like interesting to me because I'm an entrepreneur too, and this is a thing that like I always have. I think about entrepreneurship that I like. I think people think it's so glamorous, and they don't see like the pitfalls that you go through. Like it's so much work. Like I always have this joke. Like I'll be telling people, like, man, I question jumping off the Staples Center multiple times a week, just because like so much stuff that you gotta like go through. So like, what was some of the pitfalls that you've kind of dealt with, like since being an entrepreneur that you didn't like full time? Because I'm with you too. I did the same thing in high school. I used to bootleg and cure. So like I did the same thing you did. What was like something that you didn't expect, I guess, from starting this new company?
I think the biggest thing is distinguishing the difference between giving yourself another job and actually running a business, right? So when we first started, we was doing it at home. It was really just a hobby. It was me and my wife. We have some family members help here and there. But we really weren't running a business. She had a good product, but that wasn't a business. And we didn't know that at the time. So we jumped into business not really knowing what it took. But you're either going to learn fast or you're going to drown. It's like getting in the ocean. You can't swim. Eventually, if you don't got nothing to hold on to, you're going to sink. So we got into it. And, fortunately, we, based on our backgrounds, us both being former athletes, us being used to doing hard shit, we were able to figure it out. But man, it's not easy at all. One of the biggest things is just the leadership of it. Being able to lead a group of people in the same direction to have the common goal with your business. And we had to get everyone on the same accord. I had to establish SOPs, standards of operation. We had to, KPIs, all this corporate stuff we didn't know about in this foundation to a business that we didn't have when we first got into it. HR, the importance of that,
Right.
Everything. One of the biggest mistakes we ever made was when we first opened, we had unbranded packaging. And then we finally got enough money to invest in brand new packaging. And we got it printed, and we didn't know how to read CAD files. So we're looking at the files, and when you're looking at a mock-up of something, it's like looking in the mirror. If you look at it and look straight, it's not. It has to be reversed. So we're looking at the box as if it was right, but we didn't read it right. So we got 75,000 boxes printed backwards.
Damn.
So I mean that's a big hit. So we had to take all of those boxes and just scrap them. And ultimately, we tried to fight with the graphic designer, but the graphic designer is like, nah, well, you should have read it right. And then the manufacturing company that boxed the printer is like, well, that's not our fault. So we kind of stuck in the middle of no man's land with this big ass bill that we got to pay, and we paid it. But that's just one of those things of not knowing and learning from a very expensive mistake. But that's entrepreneurship. You're going to constantly make mistakes. It's just making those mistakes, learning from them, and not making them again.
100%.
Yeah, definitely, bro. But like we said, it's Super Bowl week. I woke up a little excited today. We almost there, almost game time. But the Kansas City Chiefs, it's the opportunity to win a third Super Bowl. If they do accomplish this, get this victory, we've talked about the greatness of Pat and where he is as a GOAT. But the Chiefs as a whole, if they win this third Super Bowl, bro, do you think this is a dynasty?
Without a doubt. I mean, you got to look at it in this short period of time. In 6 seasons since Pat has been a starter, he's had 6 AFC title appearances. He's won 4 of them. This will be his 4th Super Bowl appearance. If he wins this, he's won 3 or 4 Super Bowls in a 6-year period. If you can stack that up against any dynasty in the NFL, and it fits the criteria, yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. I think the fashion in which they've done it, the dominance, and they've done it with pretty much different teams every single time. If you go look at those rosters, there's not a lot of carryover. There's been a lot of turnover, but the cornerstones have been there. Patrick, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, but they've done an excellent job of drafting and free agency, bringing in new faces, and still doing it year in and year out.
And the thing too, if you look at it, like one thing I love about the Super Bowl is all the storylines. You have the dynasty storyline for the Chiefs, and you also got the revenge factor for the San Francisco 49ers. It's something they've had on their mind for the last 4 years. Now, like you said, the same thing with the Chiefs. It's not the exact same team. Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't there, and I'll argue that defense is probably a little better than the defense they've seen right now. And this team definitely, I believe, or at least offensively, isn't as good as the first Kansas City Chiefs team that won in 2019. But the defense, much better than it is. How do you see this game going? Who would you favorite, and what is your score for the Sunday's game?
It's going to be an excellent game. I think on paper, San Francisco is definitely the better team. They have more weapons offensively. Defensively, I think their only weakness is their secondary, which isn't good when you're going against Patrick Mahomes. And then when you look at them statistically, I don't know the exact stats, but I was reading something about San Francisco's defense. They rank pretty high when you look at them statistically, but when you factor in them going against top 10 scoring offenses, they suck. I think, and Kansas City hasn't been that all year. I mean, they've had a good run in the postseason, but I feel like getting in the Super Bowl and Patrick and them having Andy Reid is great off of bye weeks. I know technically this isn't considered a bye week, but this is a full 2 weeks to prepare for an opponent. I think Shanahan's a great offensive mind. I think they have a good defensive coordinator over there, but I always would put my money on Andy Reid and that staff. Given the extra time to prepare, they're going to figure something out and they're going to come out on top. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to say it's going to have to be like 24-17 or something like that. It's not going to be high scoring. I just think it's going to be a good defensive game where whoever has the ball last, they're going to figure out how to win.
Definitely. I'm definitely thinking going to be a close game too. This is where I can see either team winning in different ways they win too. Last question for you, man, before we get you out of here, man. You are from Chicago, so of course we got to get your opinion on the hottest debate in Chicago. A debate that's actually, as a Bears fan, has been driving me up a fucking wall, to be completely honest with you. And for the Justin Fields and Caleb Williams debate, in your opinion, what me and Dante had this debate before you got on too. What do you think? About Justin's time in Chicago? Do you think that if he goes to another team that he can be this superstar that a lot of Bears fans think he can be? Or do you think it's just something where this just might be who he is? And if you were Ryan Poles, which way would you go in this situation?
I think it's definitely not who he is. I think Justin is a good quarterback. I think when you look at the film, he does a lot of good things. He is indecisive at times. But a lot of that indecisive decision making comes from game planning and coaching. There's only so much you can do when you have the pressure of not only a city on you, but a defense. Like their offensive line isn't the greatest. He doesn't have a ton of weapons. I think DJ Moore had a good year, but outside of that, there wasn't consistency there. I do think they should move on from him just for the sake of him. I think he deserves more. I think he deserves a better situation. They need to foster him a little bit more, give him a situation where they can build something around him. I think they've been trying to force him to do something that he's not. And that's not fair to him. But ultimately, looking at the writing on the wall, I think they're going to keep him, because if they weren't going to keep him, if they weren't going to keep him, they would have moved on from everyone. I think they would have did a clean slate. They would have cleaned house. They got a new coach, new offensive coordinator. Then they would have brought in a new quarterback. But I think them keeping everything the same, they're trying to do that for Justin's sake. But I don't think it's going to help him, because it's broken.
Yeah, that's a good point right there, man. This is definitely something that, is going to be the hot topic for these next couple of weeks in the NFL, man. Jeff, thank you for joining us, man. It definitely was a pleasure to talk to you, man. Let everybody know where they can get in tune with you and where they can get in tune with the Cookie Society.
Yeah, man, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at JeffAllen71. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Cookie Society. You can visit us online at cookiesociety.com. Yeah, man, get some cookies.
And paper on display, haters old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna